Look, let's just go ahead and be honest about myself. I'll likely never be brought into to work for any government agencies. I won't be invited into any secret societies because people like me, I'll be honest, I can't hold water. I can't even do family secrets. I have an uncle right now that a portion of my family don't speak to me because he had a secret son who's my cousin who I still talk to all the time on Facebook. And I'm supposed to ignore him because of this family secret. He's not supposed to exist. The dude's like 33 years old. He's not a child. Meaning to say this, I'm not going to be able to be a part of any big secrets because Bongino and I always took him for the kind of person that believes that transparency is the best disinfectant. These people they probably believed once they were in these positions of power, they could just tell the truth to the public and the truth will set us free. But there are some things that are more important than the truth. And I think that that's it. And what if now this is just a huge hypothetical. Jesse on Fire is literally today on fire. He brought on the freaky German and the freaky Deutschlander, mit Juven in seinen Sinn, the guy with the diamonds in his teeth, meaning he's a freaky German liberal. He's not going to be proposing that Charlie Kirk is probably still here because he's a Trump supporter. He's not. He's a liberal German, so he owes us no favors. He's not just making propaganda for us. He actually is just going over discrepancies, and we're actually applying the scientific method. Unfortunately, it takes a foreigner to do it because maybe us Americans are too lazy. We're too busy discussing the psychology behind everything and everyone's behavior, but we're not looking at all the tiny, minute details. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and start watching this segment of Jesse on Fire, and we're going to see what he proposes. Because what if Charlie is somewhere right now and underground because I mean, everyone proposes that people go into WITSEC. Have I ever seen someone that they faked their death, went into witness protection, after the trial was over, they were reintroduced back into the public? Not that I know of. Not to say it's never happened. Not to say people aren't relocated every day. But I mean, just the behavior of everybody on the day Charlie Kirk died. If my friend was just shot and passed away, even as a man, I'd be choked up to the point where I wouldn't be able to talk. I remember where I was when I found out Charlie Kirk was shot, and it hit me in the feels. So nobody on his team's upset. Nobody's openly crying. Everyone's moving in robotic fashion. No one even took their shades off to get a better look at the injury to see how to close it or how to stop the wound. They literally, when they knocked him down, they had the wound face down like they're trying to pour out the fluid, when, because we're humans, the goal would be to roll him on his other side so that gravity can help keep the fluid in his neck so he wouldn't die, so he wouldn't bleed out. But no one did it. So their behavior is what we were studying. Erica's behavior is what we're studying. And Candace's behavior post her meeting with Erica is also a huge red flag. So let's just go ahead and get into the video. Thank you guys for tuning in. The single boyfriend, right when Rico, and this is Jesse on Fire. Let's go.
Welcome back. So this is a video that I've been alluding to on the channel for handful of days here, because we are going to examine a theory that people are taking very seriously, which is that Charlie may have juked this entire thing and might still be alive. Now, I will tell you in advance, the person that we're going to be interviewing here is a physicist. He is much smarter than me when it comes to the scientific method and the mode with which he has chosen to examine this. And he is 100% convinced that Charlie is alive and that this was done in a very specific way, which we'll outline at the very beginning over here. But before we even get into that, okay, because again, the bulk of this video is going to be me interviewing him, and he had a video out that he thinks he proves that this shot did not hit Charlie and was shot intentionally into a different place near Charlie to simulate everything. And then Charlie has a prosthetic, and I'm going to show you this right now. Now, what's interesting is we filmed this video, okay? And then after that video was done,
if you're looking at the video, at the picture that's circled, that's something I've been talking about since day one. The bulge in his neck appears to be some sort of a tonsillitis. That's when you'll have a inflammation of a lymph node or whatever in your throat. But I don't believe he was suffering from a tonsillitis. It's just a weird bulge or a weird muscle, a protrusion. But it's definitely a strange picture. But what they're saying is that he was fitted with a advanced prosthetic, and they used special effects people that were on site who work on movie sets to pull this off.
Had the opportunity to do my intro like I'm doing right now and edit it down and put in all the the censored areas because you can't show any of the graphic stuff on YouTube. This video just dropped yesterday, and it puts a little bit more color to the theory itself in terms of like, okay, well, what would he be doing though? Like, if he faked his death, like, what's he just gonna like live underground forever? And this right here was on Instagram yesterday, and it did the rounds. So we're gonna look at that really quick right now, and then and I'll kind of take you through it, and I'll pause it so you can read everything that's in it because it's quick, because it's an Instagram. So let's just check this out real quick. And by the way, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you don't mind, or just wait until you see something interesting and subscribe then. But if you could like this video, and if you see something that you like, go ahead and forward it to your friends. Watch this. Okay. So, this is showing this guy who, as we get closer, he is going to indicate he thinks he knows who this is, and it's this person. Okay, this is a very well-known Hollywood makeup artist. Okay, and Mike Mekash, an American special effects makeup artist from American Horror Story, Stranger Things, Maestro, and Mad Max. Okay. And all right, so you see that, and then watch this. So the implication being obviously that Charlie was using the exact type of makeup effects that were shown earlier right there, and that would explain the massive immediate like blood spurt, but the seeming lack of enormous amounts of blood on the security guards who were around and left over in the area they paved over afterwards, right?
So basically, you're not going to be able to go back to the crime scene post the event and retrieve a blood sample and discover that it was not actually blood that you found on the scene. That makes sense as a cover-up because, you could go back a few days later, and unless it rained or something, or unless the sprinkler system washed away all the DNA, you'd be able to retrieve a blood sample. That's plausible. So for them to start trampling over a crime scene and ordering a remodel and sending guys there, and those guys are saying how they're good at keeping their mouths closed. That does make sense too. I mean, it's like I said, it sounds crazy, but stranger things have happened. And again, this is the age of social media. We have cameras, and I mean, maybe they didn't calculate the fact that we're in 2025. This is not 1964 anymore.
Okay, check this out. Kash Patel. Now listen to this. Just real quick, just this one line I'll put on because it has music. That's why we're being quiet.
Rest down, brother. We have the watch.
Pop quiz. What is he about to say after that line? You guys all know.
See you in Valhalla.
Yeah, that's a weird thing for Kash Patel, who is Indian, to say. Valhalla is the theoretical location of Valhalla is a place for the souls of Norse soldiers, Vikings, where they go in the afterlife. I don't think they were calculating people from other countries and races and continents to also occupy Valhalla. That's like, that's like a Chinese guy who's about to die that says, I'll see you in Wakanda. It just wouldn't make any sense.
See you in Valhalla. Okay. Let's see if there's any relevant information related to Valhalla here. So what are we looking at right there? Right? Take a good, hard look at that map.
That is New Zealand. The hell?
Because that's what it is right there. Okay. Valhalla Danish House. Okay. Witness security program. And you check this out. Since 1971, more than 19,000 people, WITSEC plus family members. Official figures state that no participant who's followed the program rules has ever been killed as a result of their cooperation, which makes sense for WITSEC. Okay, so I saw that. I'm like, okay, why would Charlie Kirk need a new?
WITSEC is Witness Protection Security, and they're saying since 71 they have relocated probably more than 19,000 people. So basically, if you're a witness to a big crime and they need to protect you from people you have to testify against, they'll move you and your entire immediate family so that they can't, threaten your family to get you not to testify. 19,000 is a lot of people that they've relocated to New Zealand. That's a very far away place. Yeah, I don't see people making that type of effort, especially when we don't know the kind of security they have there. Interesting.
Identity and to go to WITSEC. Answer would be if he is potentially testifying against a large criminal organization that he needs protection from. And here's the thing. If you're Charlie Kirk, you can't just go into WITSEC. You have to die, right? Like you have to you can't just be like, oh, Charlie Kirk has vanished.
You know what's crazy? You said you are all sheep. Dan said his priority was Israel. He absolutely freaking did. No, he didn't say his priority was Israel. The lady asked, tell me about yourself. What is one of your number one things that you think about? And he was like, Israel? What's the right answer? Is Israel the right answer? Israel? No? Okay, my kids. No. Kids, Israel's number one. Kids, okay, yeah. He did say that. It was funny. But technically, as of right now, since everything is owned by most of the Zionists that control the country and the media, you're technically correct. We all do work for them. So I'm not saying you're wrong. As of today, we do.
He's vanished, you guys. Like if he's going into WITSEC, the world needs to think he's dead. That is the only way that you could pull it off. I'm just saying, if that is what happened,
So wait a minute. If Charlie Kirk had to go into WITSEC, but they didn't take his family, I don't know. Maybe his family's too public. But if this is true, did we just blow his cover? Like, is that good for a person that's in witness protection? That the people who need to think that he's dead, they can now watch our videos and they're like, that fucker's alive. Get him. Maybe this is not necessarily the healthiest decision. If this is true, maybe this isn't the best idea.
I'm not saying for sure it did. However, it would answer every single question about everybody's behavior at TPUSA, which just seems so bizarre. And but check this out, right? So that was in New Zealand, right? That's a map of New Zealand where the Valhalla place is, right? And check this out. New Zealand government and the U.S. Embassy confirmed in late July 2025 that the FBI established a, quote, dedicated law enforcement attaché office located at the U.S. Embassy in Wellington, headed by a permanent legal attaché. This is described as the FBI's first standalone office in New Zealand, replacing an arrangement where FBI personnel in Wellington reported through the legal office in Caribou, Australia. So, purpose is stated role.
It's not Caribana, it's Canberra. It's just a small speako.
Officials for both countries say the office is intended to deepen cooperation in transnational organized crime, counterterrorism, cybercrime, espionage, child exploitation within the broader Five Eyes intelligence partnership. Wellington Legal Office is expected to coordinate with FBI engagement across parts of the wider Pacific region, including nearby islands, states, and Antarctica. Okay.
Maybe Charlie's security team, the reason they didn't take their shades off and none of them were sad is because they were literally saving Charlie, not because it took him to a hospital, but because they were getting him out of whatever situation he found himself in. Maybe that's why they're not depressed, and maybe that's why they are still employed by TPUSA, and Erica Kirk literally has the same security detail that Charlie had. I tell you this, if I have a security guard and I go to the club and my security guard gets into a fight and he loses defending me, he's fired. So if you lose, if your client dies, I would expect you to be fired, not for them to say, all right, let's try it again. So that's a little bit of a red flag, a little red flag too.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, right? And then there is Kash Patel.
Kash Patel gets around. He's only been the FBI director this year, and he's already at a legal attaché office in New Zealand this year. And that's where there is a site for witness protection called Valhalla Dutch House. Is it me, or do we live in a simulation? Have you ever felt like that? Like just everything around you is fake, but now everything is just fake and gay. So the simulation is getting worse. Like it's just so weird. I mean, there's too many. I don't believe in coincidences, but now there's just so many coincidences. I'm like, is just everything a sham? I mean, I'm starting to have my doubts. I'm starting to think so.
In New Zealand, finalizing that deal, you know, I'm just saying, if you need a why, there you go. There's your why. Now, I wonder if the actual reason that Erica and Candace were going to meet in person is because Erica's like, okay, look, okay, listen, you have done such an incredible job here that we are going to have to bring you into the fold because you're killing us.
It's another thing about the whole Charlie Kirk situation. You never seen the faces of his children. When they take pictures, they make sure their faces are turned. What if Charlie went into WITSEC and Erica's here, but he took his kids? It's not like anyone knows what their kids look like. Their kids are never with them. The kids could be, remember, they take you and your family. Maybe that was his one condition, and they went down there to modernize the facility because you can't bring someone of such prominence and just have him living in meager squalors like the other regular people in WITSEC. I don't know. I mean, we're hypothesizing, me and my audience, Jesse, we're all just sitting here talking, just spitballing and just thinking outside the box. I don't think Tyler Robinson had anything to do with it. I'm about 1,000% sure. And I've explained why in prior videos. So, we're just asking questions. Don't let anybody ever shame you. Candace is supposed to ask questions. I'm asking questions. Now Candace magically never wants to suspect anything to do with TPUSA anymore, but the show must go on. She's acting weird after this strange meeting. What did they tell her? There was no cameras, no nothing. And she met with the people that she literally declared war against only a matter of weeks ago. What did they tell her? What if Jesse's right? What if they told her, you're going to blow our cover? Charlie's not there, but you can talk about the events around it, but don't implement us, because then, you could put him at risk. And maybe that's what made Candace change her tune and adjust her monologue. That's why she's not accusing them of anything anymore, but she's just talking about the apparatus of the conspiracy that went around it, tiptoeing. I don't know, but we'll see.
Killing us. Okay. I have a phone call for you here. Candace, it's Charlie. Can you imagine, dude? I would do obviously I'm not saying that this is like factually accurate or anything. Can you imagine being a fly on the wall to Candace's face if that is exactly what happened? That'd be hilarious. Now I am finishing this recording right now, and now she's about to actually go live in a few minutes. But we are going to now get into the actual nuts and bolts of this video, where someone is going to try to scientifically prove that he is actually alive, and we're going to watch that right now. Thank you, guys. Right after a word from our sponsor, Prize Picks, who, by the way, is the only way that I can be monetarily compensated for this video, because YouTube will not monetize it no matter what I've done. I censored every single
It's crazy. Somebody had just told me, if you talk about that, you're going to get demonetized. I was like, newsflash, I'm not monetized anyway. Also, I just have a couple of sponsors. I do ad reads. People do donations on PayPal to me, but I'm not sitting here making ad money or anything on YouTube yet. I haven't applied for it. So, but I'm, I appreciate what he's doing. I don't use Prize Pick. I like DraftKings for right now, but let's see here. Is he still talking about that shit? Okay. Oh, there we go. The German.
Get your free $50 back. That's a 10x return. You are welcome. I love all of you guys. Let's go. When you put them on top of each other, they all match exactly.
For the trunk shot, yes, and for the Kirk shot, not. So for the Kirk
let's see that. So your theory is that they open the trunk. There's a huge gel block in it. They fired the round into the gel block. Charlie has a prosthetic that simulates that he's been hit. It's not real. Thus, there is no exit wound. Falls over. They run over to him. Security does not allow the EMTs to work on him. This would also explain why there is way less blood than there should be, because there's only enough blood to simulate him getting hit. There's a guy who reportedly was at the hospital who saw Charlie's SUV come in, and then he said that he saw another vehicle come in. All they need is one doctor, that'll verify that he was in there, whatever. They take these fake pictures of Erica with her hand on his hand. They put it out, and oh my God, Charlie's dead. All we have to do now is just convince the world that we're really, really sad, which they did a very bad job.
Now, typically, after everything they've done, that would just be the end of it. And we would move on to the next chapter in life. She would eventually be seen and linked to JD Vance. And then that would be the ascension of the Erica Kirk Vance story into being the first lady. If my calculations are correct, she is an asset. And she was reassigned to Charlie Kirk after the incidents in Romania because she did such a good job. And after Charlie Kirk, she was reassigned to her greatest role ever of being the first lady, the next first lady of these United States. However, this whole situation with Candace has almost ruined that, because that's forced the people who are behind Erica, the people who are her handlers, she's a handler, they forced her to come back down to this other role that she thought she was done with. And you can hear and see the frustration in her voice, because she's not good at public speaking. She was not designed or trained for that. And they're thrusting her into this new role. Her range is a very intimate setting, honeypot, pretending. She's able to get men. She's able to look men in their eyes with her eyes and convince them that she's in love with them and smitten. That's how you're able to control. Some women have that. It's a natural gift. Some women are trained. Now they're expecting her to be on The View and talk to public speaking like she's a heavier, older woman. That's not her forte. She's a small, hot woman. Your job is to get men to fall in love with you. That's why when you watch the media, all the men magically just believe everything that comes out of her mouth. It's the women that are seeing through her. So that's why this doesn't work on a mass scale. And that's why I guess they had to go to her like, Candace, you're killing us. You're killing us. And now that we know too much about Erica, the whole Erica Kirk Vance thing might be in jeopardy. Just some thoughts.
Above. And that's your theory, right? Like that's basically where we're at.
Yes, very well summarized.
All right, we are good to go. So Algis 9 Dream.
Yeah, New Dream, or Algis New Dream, supposed to be
Algis New Dream. Okay, cool, man. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I saw part of the video that you did about the theory that Charlie Kirk is still alive, and I wanted to bring you on because I actually talked to my buddy about it, and I thought that it's you have such a scientific approach to this that I think is going to just over people's heads. And there were some details though that I thought I could kind of help guide the conversation to where if you know this in advance, then this is where this starts to make sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we'll just analyze it and I'll basically I will prod the theory like with the scientific method, trying to poke holes in the theory. Like, what do you actually know? What can't you know? What do you know? Etc. And if you want to kind of, I don't know, if you want to give an intro to the whole thing on the, I don't know what the broad hypothesis is, and then how you went about trying to solve it, then rock and roll, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, essentially it addresses a lot of things that you said in your videos. It explains all the weird observations, like there was no exit wound, and Erica is not grieving, and Mikey McCoy is walking away, and the Man of Steel, and Trump dancing the next day, or that the security team refused the EMT help, and that there was no bullet recovered, and all the things that you covered in your videos. And I can explain all these observations because I can show that the bullet went into the trunk 20 feet or 20 feet to the right of Charlie Kirk. I'm just going to share my screen now.
And that's 20 feet to Charlie's right from Charlie's vantage, correct? So like if Charlie's facing this way, 20 feet to his right, that direction.
Yes.
Right?
I never saw this. This is apparently a very strange thing that you would have never seen unless you had a camera that was far back where you had a vantage point that was past the tent. This is crazy.
And I'm going to show you what I mean. I can show you this video or maybe that video. So I'm just going to show you. So maybe I can hit forward. So this is before the shot.
And listen, I'm starting to think let's just hypothetically say this is true. Remember we said there was a mic device that they put under his shirt that kind of made his shirt jump up or whatever. We were also saying that it could have been a air actuated pellet device and it shot up because it seems like he was grazed by something. Basically, whatever hit him, it almost missed. So it's like he was barely just grazed on the side. That's what it looks like. But what if that's actually a device that administers like a taser, like it's an electrical shock device. So it'll cause your body to do that. And then that's when they'll animate the prosthetic where the blood will come out. But you got to make it seem real. So they gave him an electrical shock. Maybe what if that device underneath his body was like a electrical taser device to help make this look more real. That's just something we're putting out there.
And we can see them talk to each other, and most likely they receive the message and they inform him what he has to do. For example, this guy informs him, okay, you have to pick up the mic with your left hand now.
And that guy right there is the one who is standing on the wall later, filming them take him out, which is super weird.
Yeah, that's the guy, yeah. And now we have a countdown situation. And he grabs his nose. Turek grabs his cap and ear. This guy does the Macarena. And the trunk opened, and they shot into the trunk. And then he falls over.
Can you see the trunk open somewhere?
You can see it here. It's a very small thing. I can make it bigger. I have another one here. I think a bit further.
Oh, okay, I see it.
So can let it run. Here, trunk opens. He grabs his nose. Turek. Then this guy Macarena, and into the trunk. So here the trunk opens, grabs his nose.
Oh, so basically he said that there was somebody standing behind the tent, and whatever they did was they opened the trunk. There was a block of some sort behind the tent that they shot into. So it's basically like so you get the acoustics, and then it's synced up with him doing the shock and then the prosthetic. But the trunk opened, and that's where the sound came from. Not from 200 yards away from a sniper, but from a smaller caliber device that echoed right in whatever they shot into, whether it was like a speaker or something to catch the bullet and amplify the sound, but it was like a big clap. It sounded more like a taser, but a smaller caliber gun would have done the same. But they're saying that the acoustic came from directly behind the tent, and that's why they opened the trunk. And then after they closed the trunk, this is very, very sophisticated. Whoever came up with this, they were good.
Turek, Macarena, and into the trunk. Then he falls over, and we never see them close the trunk. We don't have any observation.
And if you look at it, they never roll him over. They turn him, they knock him down on the side of allegedly the injury, which would basically be pouring out his blood, instead of turning him over and trying to figure out how to stop the bleeding temporarily and then carrying him. So that's a problem.
Of anyone closing the trunk, but we know it must have been around here because 19 seconds later, we can see the trunk closed. So right there, then it's already closed. So,
and what is that guy doing?
So this is the guy that was standing watch, and this is the trunk that was open. Amazing.
Doing right there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you present all your evidence, and then I will. I'll be basically like taking a mental note of questions that I want to ask, and then I'll ask you those questions to try to break the theory afterwards.
Yes, we have a lot of smartphone videos. This one here, you can see the trunk opening, but here we can see some blood. This is why I close it again. So this is the archive page where you can find all these videos. And then
so what I did, you verified. I mean, we could just take for granted that the trunk opened right before the shot was taken, and it looks to you like they are based on signals that they are giving to get them to rock and roll.
Yes. I think Charlie Kirk by tipping his nose, he said, open the trunk. This is what it looked like. So
and then you use the sound analysis to prove that that is where it went.
Yeah, and here we can just see him grabbing his nose and then the trunk opens. So this is what I mean. Mm-hmm. So it's within a couple of seconds. So in the sound analysis, I can just open up Audacity. So what I did was I downloaded these videos and then I put them into a software called Audacity. This is an audio analysis software. And then I just analyzed all of the audio tracks from these videos. And I can open up the one that we just saw, recording 6 with the trunk opening. This is what this looks like. And here you can see crack thump. This here is the crack, and this here is the thump. The sounds are, the crack is more like a, and the thump is more like a p. So it sounds like something like that. And this is a technique that soldiers use in combat to determine where their enemies are.
And I'm sorry. You know what we should have done too? So what's your background? Does it in analyzing stuff like this?
I have a background in theoretical physics. There was no one else doing this properly, or there were other people doing it, but I realized they made some mistakes, and then I realized I had to do this myself. I also went through it with Ryan from your team.
Yeah, that's a German thing. It's very German of him to do. Immer Leute der Deutschland ist sehr pünktlich. They're very precise. They're on time, and they're thorough. So yeah, this makes him a really good investigator, if you will be. So it makes sense that he would notice the mistakes and decides to join into the fray. Even his Excel is in German, so he's not clouded with all the American political nonsense. He can actually just skim through it and put his own hypothesis in there.
So I explained it to him. He's also a physicist, and
he was the very first one who brought, like, the first person whose opinion that I am forced to respect due to his background and how smart he is. And he was adamant. He's like, I'm telling you, dude, I think that they juked this thing. And I was like,
the other explanation for his background in theoretical physics means he is somebody with a vast imagination, because again, it's theoretical physics. So that means you're able to just theorize and just make up stuff out of thin air. But it's usually based off of data that's been provided. So you're not just creating your own set of data. It's pretty much within the framework of already established information, and you kind of just go from there. So this is going to be on the frameworks of sound acoustics and how things work. And he's just applying his theoretical physics training to this. But both do require a extreme imagination. Some people have a limited imagination. That's why they can't imagine everybody scamming them and all this stuff being fake and staged. And they believe movies are real, and they walk up to people in restaurants who are on soap operas and throw their drinks on them because they cheated on their wife, and they don't understand nuance. They can't separate a person who's an actor from a person who's a regular person with a real name. They still call them by their name on the show. So there's a lot of people like that, but then there's people like us who overanalyze and go through all the information and make decisions.
Come on. At some point I'll pull that text message conversation up between he and I, because I was completely dismissive of it. I was like, this is flat earth, dude. Like, there's no way. And it was like the thing.
Flat earth is actually a real thing. It's not something that's really funny. If Jesse on Fire believes he's spinning upside down at, what is it, 750,000 miles per hour, no, 19,000 miles per hour right now, then he's insane. But that's what happens when you don't look into stuff.
That marinated in my mind over and over and over, was where he's like, think about the behavior of everyone at TPUSA. And
oh, okay. So nicht Deutschland, Juven in seinen Sinn, he removed them. Maybe he's seen my comment where I noticed it on the last video he did. He had these little freaky diamonds in his front teeth that he has since removed, because I guess I called him a freaky little jerk.
He's like, the only thing that could explain all of it is if he's alive. And I was like, man, and I just, because that's like, I don't do theoretical physics. I don't do scientific, I don't do like the test and verify. Math spreadsheets, not my thing. I analyze people, and that I would consider myself.
I do both, actually.
Very, very strong. And I would just like, man, he's like, that would explain literally every single behavior problem that I have identified, and that other people, it's like, you can't really put your finger on it. You're like, everybody's behaving wrong. I feel like I almost could even pick who is in on it and who's not, if this was true based on their behavior, but anyway, that's how I even started looking at this was that. I think I'm still at sub 10%.
Yeah. And it was great talking to Ryan. Yeah, this is he's very quick at understanding these concepts. And this is recording 2 on this side. So here is where the crack is. Here's where the thumb is. You can just play.
And what exactly are you measuring there?
I measure essentially, so this is a mark cone, and it is essentially made up of circles. Now there is one primary circle, and this is the thumb circle. And the thumb is just the explosion in the gun. Yeah, that you need some kind of explosion.
The crack, you mean, is that?
No, it's this what travels more slowly. It travels at the speed of sound.
Okay.
This is the explosion, or you need some kind of explosion to make the bullet fly away, to accelerate the bullet.
Yep.
And
and the sound is going to reach the microphone at a speed which you are able to calculate because you know how fast the sound is going.
Yeah, this is the second one because it travels more slowly. And the faster one is the crack, and the crack travels with supersonic speed. The crack travels like this. You can see a cone.
Yep.
And it's faster. It's way faster. For example, this one here, we can see a soldier where this guy is really far away. Here, you can hear the 2 distinct sounds because it's really far away.
And now I'll send him across the other side. Yep.
Yeah, and you imagine if this was some kind of combat and this was your enemy, then you could just determine how far this guy is away.
Like when you hear, because I was thinking like when you hear the round make impact, in order to know how far they are, you would need to know how fast it's going. But if you're measuring based on the speed of sound, then that is going to be your dictator of how fast. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so I can just illustrate this here. So let's pretend that here's the enemy and you are here where the trunk is. So this guy fires at you. We can only see the mark now because the first sound is this mark cone, and he shoots.
And those X's are where the videos were taken from?
Yeah, where the videos were taken from. Yeah, and for example, this video 10 is and almost perpendicular to the trajectory, and then it's way harder. But this observer 2 here, he's almost in line with the trajectory.
That's the video that I got sent.
Oh, yeah, that's your video. That's your video. And he is, it almost looks that way for him. And then it's the easiest.
I mean, honestly, like thinking through this, like they must have shot right. Like that would have gone so close to the guy who was filming if they shot it into the trunk.
So here we can see how it travels out. Okay, now my VLC, I hope you saw that. Now my VLC is a bit acting out.
Oh yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, and this is what it looks like. And I can let it run again. And we can then see that here in this case, so I checked for the bullet going at Kirk, and it's just too late. So, and this is how I could determine that this is not what happened in reality. And yeah, so I made all these clips there. I showed them in my own video, or we can show another one with this recording number 2. We can find it here when it goes into the trunk. So this is another recording, so recording 2. And here we can see that it exactly matches. So exactly what we calculated. I mean,
when you put them on top of each other, they all match. Exactly.
Just FYI for my audience, none of this explains his shirt popping up almost over his face when this happened. What was under his shirt? What caused his shirt, completely separate than his neck or anything else, what caused his shirt to come up to his face when this happened? We don't know. Something is under his shirt. Unfortunately, I don't think the freaky German even discusses that. But we're going to see. I haven't seen this video. We're watching this at the same time together. Jesse just put it out.
Exactly.
For the trunk shot, yes, and for the Kirk shot, not. So for the Kirk
let's
shot,
see that. Did you show that? Like, did you show how they don't match for if it was at Charlie?
That was just what I just showed here.
Okay.
What I just showed here. I can let it run again. So this is I check this recording here and the shot at Kirk.
Okay.
And watch what happens. We expect 13.3, but it's longer. It's 0.15. And this is just longer. And yeah, this is just how I can show it. And yeah, the basis for this are all these calculations here. So this is the 0.13. And here is that actually matches the observation. And here's the 0.15 that doesn't match. So for these 2 recordings here, recording 2 and recording 5 are on his right. And here we would need something like 2,700 feet per second to calculate what we observe.
What he's basically saying is that due to the sound from when when allegedly the shot goes off until it hits its target, it means that the shot didn't come from far away, or it would have took longer. It was actually much closer. That's why it was almost like instant. So saying that it would have taken a longer time to make that noise is what he's saying. So he's saying this came from a closer source, much closer.
And when we take the one recording to the left, it is Bartholomew, then it doesn't work out anymore. Match the 0.167 is.
No, I understand exactly how you're calculating it now. One thing that we forgot to mention is that your theory is that there is a big, like bullet catching, like rubber block that they would be shooting into, which is, yeah, I mean, those definitely exist. I've shot into one before. So they're like gigantic, like gel blocks that will catch literally any bullet. And so your theory is that they open the trunk, there's a huge gel block in it. They fire the round into the gel block. Charlie has a prosthetic that simulates that he's been hit. It's not real. Thus, there is no exit wound.
And if you guys remember that day on the video, it looks like it's just squirting out. In real life, that's not how blood behaves, right? In real life is not the movie Kill Bill. Remember on Kill Bill when she went to Japan and she was just slicing up Japanese people and it was just like, psh, 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 psh. That's not real life. In real life, if you slice somebody's arm off, it would bleed, but it wouldn't be like, yeah. That's not that's not how it works in reality. But it's movie magic, and we all sit around and watch too much Netflix, and we start to expect to see movie magic in real life. So when someone's trying to scam us, they'll show us some movie magic, and we'll just think it's real. It's called conditioning, mental conditioning.
He falls over. They run over to him. Security does not allow the EMTs to work on him. This would also explain why there is way less blood than there should be, because there's only enough blood to simulate him getting hit, and then it's out. It's not like a full body full of blood that would be, getting exposed in the event that he was actually shot. And that also there's not enough blood. The first time that I watched that, I think the video that I was sent where he's hit from the side, I thought that was extremely definitive because he seizes, just like I have seen so many people get stretched like that because I'm huge martial arts. And so like I've seen guys take tremendous trauma to their head and neck and get knocked unconscious. And when they really get stretched, they seize like that. It means it's spinal damage. And he appeared to do that to me when I watched it. And that's why I was so confident. However, I watched it back again and again and again. And I was like, you know what? That actually, what he did could be rehearsed. Like what he did could be reversed.
Or there was something underneath them that gave him an electrical shock that made his body freeze. Like, have you ever seen someone hit with the taser while they're sitting down? And then fall over just like that. I'm telling you, probably one of the worst things you guys could have ever done was keep sending me all these body cam videos, because I literally do commentary and reaction to all of those. And I'm seeing a lot of how things work when people are hit with tasers. A lot of people are getting tased and they seize up and then they fall over. They're not just seizing up and then they take it and they sit there. No, they fall over. So if there was a device underneath his shirt and that device went off and it seized, and then all of a sudden they activated the prosthetic, it would make it look real. I mean, this is something that was rehearsed. I mean, they wanted to look real, and they went all out, obviously, for this.
Rehearsed. I'm not saying that it was, but it could be. And
you know what? The next time I can send a message to Jesse, I'm going to propose this to him so we can see where we're coming from. He gave me a shout out on his show a couple weeks ago. I really appreciate it. And actually, if you're following me because you saw me on Jesse's show, I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. And I appreciate you for being here. And I'm trying to do my best to bring you content, but also to make you think so you can see where we are, because we all care about this situation. This means a lot to us. And, I mean, what if the fate of the future in our country rests in these events? We have to be able to see through them, because I don't know about you, but I don't want to be tricked and manipulated into thinking one thing. I don't want to be controlled. I want to be able to look at the facts and decide what to believe on my own and what to think. I don't want to be manipulated and bombarded with nonsense. So we're cutting through it. And hopefully we're helping you cut through it and helping you think and resist the whole believe the official story. Since when? Since they told you a plane went down in Shanksville? Go to your YouTube right now, type in 9/11 Shanksville, and then just think to yourself where you were when you first saw that video and why did you believe a plane crashed there? And then we can talk about what's real.
But yeah, so anyway, so then the security jumps over the table. We've all seen them kind of look like they're taking things off of them and then putting them in their pockets or whatever. That would have been them.
The electrical device that gave him the shock, or the pellet device that activated, whatever it is, they took something off of him. He put it in his pocket and he darted off. I mean, it was just like a production. Exit stage left. It was well coordinated, like a water ballet.
Pulling off whatever was used for the prosthetics, and then they run to go get the car. They carry him. You've got the guy who was talking to him right before, he goes and gets up on that wall. He's filming. Oh my God, they just shot Charlie. They get that shot. They put him into the car. They drive off. There's a guy who reportedly was at the hospital who saw Charlie's SUV come in, and then he said that he saw another vehicle come in, and there's maybe Charlie jumps into that car. They drive out of there. All they need is one doctor, that'll verify that he was in there. Whatever. They take these fake pictures of Eric.
One doctor. Do you guys remember the Baron Coleman video where he was talking about this weird, freaky doctor that speaks all these different languages? He flies all over the country. He has his own airplanes. He doesn't go to private airport. He doesn't go to regular airports like everyone else. And he just happened to be in Utah on this day. He normally has flights out every month, but on this particular month, the only month of the whole year he didn't have any scheduled flights was September. It was like all these weird coincidences. I'm actually going to do the Baron Coleman video next, where we talk about this extremely suspicious and spooky pilot. But right now, they're thinking that this pilot is who transported Charlie out of Utah on his plane, because he turns off the corresponder so he doesn't have to register where he has two planes. His one plane is registered, the other plane isn't, and it's only a two-seater. So I'm telling you, there's like some weird, tricky stuff going on.
With her hand on his hand, they put it out, and oh my God, Charlie's dead. All we have to do now is just convince the world that we're really, really sad, which they did a very bad job of. And that's your theory, right? Like that's basically where we're at.
Yes, very well summarized. Yeah, here we can see a photo of the hands, and we can see on their wedding picture here her hands are way smaller, which is what we can expect.
Look at that's their wedding picture. She's a 5'3" woman. He's roughly about 6'5", and his hands are double her hand size on this picture. But when we look at his picture post-mortem that she put up, that she's pretending to cry in front of, well, you'll see.
Because she's shorter, but on the casket, their hands are almost exactly the same size, and so it's kind of obvious that these are not his hands.
I mean, it's crazy. Do people's hands shrink when they die? And does your skin turn into plastic? See, that's why I think this is all fake, because was Pinocchio real or was that fake? It's all fake. Her hands and his hands are magically now the same size. And this was it was a miscalculation. When making this video, maybe they should have told her, don't put your hands next to him, because people would compare the size, and no one thought about it. It's like hindsight is 2020, but this is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would push back on that is, if I'm going to take pictures, why would I, and he's alive, why not take pictures with his actual hands? Why?
Yeah, this is just silly. This is just silly. And we don't even see the entire puppet. They could have just used only the hands here, just some plastic hands. We wouldn't have needed the entire body even, because only the hands stick out. So it's a really silly mistake. Yeah, they only filmed the hands, and they didn't even make sure that the hands have the proper size. Yeah,
they made a lot of mistakes. The staff, the guys immediately turning and walking away, not even stopping to check if their friend is okay. No one ducking to make sure that this is not an active shooter. Everyone just pretended like, okay, they knew it was a one and done and over. How did you know? And then for them to do a gag order over 3,000 people, why was that even necessary? Why? I've never seen that in all of American history, and I've looked it up. A gag order over 3,000 people. Why would you need to do that? If the goal is to prosecute somebody based on the truth, well, then what's wrong with transparency? You should be able to openly talk about whatever. The truth should not be affected by the words. If you have proof and evidence, then conjecture wouldn't matter, right?
That's really silly.
Oh, that came from a video?
I think it's a screenshot from a video, yeah. So
he sent me that earlier today and said that Milo Yiannopoulos had shared that.
Yeah. Can I just take a quick bathroom break?
Yeah. And then when you come back, I'll start trying to break your theory. Yeah. Let's start with the first clip that you have of them opening the trunk, right? Like the best clip of them opening the trunk.
This one here. You can see it better.
Counting or not counting gang violence.
Okay, so go back and let's play that again. And here's what I was going to say.
What a weird time for a random car trunk to magically open in a secured area at an event that's being held on a campus. That doesn't make sense. I mean, why? Who opened it?
Okay, about that. Mm-hmm. Watch the body language of these guys who open the trunk, and whether they seem like there is a reason to hurry to get out of the way, or if they feel totally comfortable standing a couple feet away from where a 30-06 round is about to get shot in their direction. Also, it seems like there's someone behind there, and there's a lot of people. So look, like they open it, and then he's just kind of chilling. He's like, all right, I'll just leisurely get out of the way. And like, to me, if I know they're about to fire a round into that in this like hairpin shot, you would think that you would see at least, and the guy on the side that's standing right there, you would think you would see some kind of reaction from him where he's afraid and nervous.
They are military people. So I think these guys.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Every single person that Tyler Boyer hired to work in or around TPUSA and around Charlie, they're all connected to the military. Every single person is the child of someone high up, high ranking in the military. He was surrounded. Everyone in Charlie's circle, military. They're all military kids. What are the odds of that? I don't have anyone around me that's a military kid, and I know all types of people. Everyone magically working at TPUSA, working around Charlie, all military. And he had none the wiser. And it seems like maybe in the days right before this, he started to figure stuff out and it started to unwind, like in that movie with Kaiser Soze. And he realized he was Truman and he wanted out.
Brian Harpole, this guy and this guy, they have shot a lot of rounds themselves. They are very good snipers themselves, and they just know that this is not a hard shot, and you essentially have a margin of maximum 4 inches. And they just know that. So, I mean, it is very tough when you, I mean, it's a very different thing. I mean, you have to trust the shooter blindly. I mean, with your conscious mind, you just know, okay, I can essentially stand right next to the target circle or the target symbol that has a radius of 4 inches, and I can just essentially put my head there, right, to the circle, the target circle, and he's going to shoot right into the middle, or he's never going to miss more than 4 inches to the left and to the right. So just imagine that this is Brian Harpole's face, this is my face, and this is where the shot maybe went. Now, with your conscious mind, you know that, but it's a different thing actually putting your face there and then just standing still, and you know that an expert sniper is going to miss you. And I don't know if it was that close. Maybe it was also a bit further away. I think it was within 1 meter that it missed Brian Harpole.
Or, you know, what if that trunk opened and there was just a device in there that's like a speaker? And that's why they popped the trunk. See, these guys don't do that kind of stuff. But when I was, when I used to have, when I didn't have an electric car, I had, subwoofers in my trunk. And I was in a Cadillac CTS, and you would open up your trunk and you would have a speaker, and you could literally make loud music and loud noises. If they opened the trunk, I mean, it wouldn't be required for you to have somebody with a sniper rifle shoot a gun into the trunk from a faraway distance. It could have been somebody closer. Or it wasn't, the trunk's open because there was an acoustic device that went off and made the sound, and then they lined everything up. You wouldn't have to actually shoot a gun into it. You could just play the sound. It's an acoustic. So, I mean, hopefully Jesse points that out.
And
let me ask you this. Okay, so this is a question that speaks directly to the science. Okay, so if if what we're doing is we're matching the sound waves, which are, we're talking about like a margin of error that is very, very small, right? So it's like if Charlie is here and the trunk is here, right? And we're able to measure the difference between here and scientifically prove that it went here instead of here. Wouldn't that rely on knowing exactly where the shooter was when they took the shot? Because if the shooter had been 10 feet over to the left or the right, that would change the entire model, correct? So like if the shooter was in a different position, then you theoretically could run the exact same model and it would hit Charlie and it would not go into the trunk. Yes. And I'm saying, like, how would anybody know the exact position he was in? Because we haven't seen any videos I'm aware of like his exact position when he fired the shot, correct?
Yes, I just pull it up. We can calculate the position. We can calculate with these cones.
Do you understand what I'm saying though? Like that, like if you move the green endpoint of where the shot was taken, and like if you put the endpoint on Charlie, and then you move where you think the shot was taken from a little bit, does it match up then, or is it still off?
We don't. The problem, we don't have any recording that would support Charlie. We only have these. So this is another. I just want to show you what I wanted to show. I can just rotate that also, and just again imagine that this point here of this triangle makes a circle, and again I can just rotate it, and again I have all these positions. So I have maybe this position, or I can zoom in a bit. So I have maybe this position here, or this position here, or this position here, or maybe to the other side. Where could he be? This position here. So imagine that you are Bartholomew, right? This guy on the balcony that recorded this. And from what he heard, if he's an experienced shooter, he could say, okay, he must be in one of these positions here that I just showed on this circle. This is what Bartholomew must have thought. And
but even if he was to the left or further to the right, if he's still within the same radius, the sound is going to take the same amount of time to hit, and you wouldn't be able to exactly triangulate where it came from. Because I mean, there's also echoes and other variables, but yeah, the person who's recording this, they could have thought they seen it from one direction, but it could have came further from the left. As far as the timing to get to the target, your distance doesn't change just because of your angle. You're still the same distance at a certain point. So I guess I do see what he's saying.
This guy here, your friend in position 2, if he only heard a signal, then he must know, okay, he must be in one of these positions. I mean, I could just draw a half circle that you can really see it's 2 half circles essentially.
Here's the other.
Yeah, a half circle will show us the radius.
The thing is,
it's just where it intersects.
And I will call and find this out. Let's say I'm in, because it's not my friend that took the video. It's a very close friend of mine who's also a very close friend of his. Okay. And so, but what I'm saying, if I'm in that position and someone fires that round and it goes that close to me, by me, and then hits a rubber in the trunk, like I'm going to hear where that hit. Like it's like I'll hear that hit the trunk most likely, because it's like right there. It's not like it doesn't hit the rubber silently. Now I haven't spoken to him about it, so I don't know. I have no idea if that's the case, but it seems like people would have been reporting that they thought that it, like, the round went right over my head, or I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you want, what you mean, and the problem is that people were not expecting it. That no one expected a shot, and you're kind of blown away that when you hear a crack thump anyway, right? So, yeah. But
and then also, if it's only one shot, you wouldn't know if it's a drone or something. I mean, if it's when you hear repeated gunfire, or if it's close by you, then that's one thing. But one shot, it could be a one-off, or you might think you missed something, or you wouldn't exactly know. The whole theatrics, if they had missed Charlie and he hadn't did all the theatrics, probably the show could have kept going and nobody would have even noticed someone took a shot at him. But no one likely took a shot at him. It doesn't seem he wasn't hit by a 30-06 bullet, so he doesn't have a skeleton made out of adamantium. So let's just go ahead and remove the fact that whenever somebody starts bringing up Charlie Kirk was shot, I'm just going to immediately refute it. There's no evidence that he was shot. There's none. There's no evidence that there was a shooter with a 30-06 bullet. It would have took his head off of his spine. It would have been hanging on by muscle. Now, we've seen that in the Ukraine and other places. We've seen those videos. It would have happened here in front of everyone. He was not shot. So I'm going to just go ahead and stop telling people. I'm just going to start immediately correcting people when they say that. And I will just show them the evidence that it's impossible that he was hit by a 30-06 bullet in the neck. Impossible.
Maybe in the recording also that I have the recording to open and you don't hear any impact to the rubber. And the point is that this, because the impact into the rubber is, first of all, very silent compared to the crack. And it's also at the same time, or almost at the same time. So we are already at, this is a period of 0.01. What we're talking about right now. Why don't we hear an impact there? Yeah, but
well, and here's the other thing is, if they're going to fake his death, why shoot around at all? Why not just shoot an empty shell to make the sound and then have the impact be the prosthetic? Like why would there be, why even shoot a real round?
Then this entire thing would look different, because then the crack would not be there. So we wouldn't have these two signals. So this is the crack, this is the thump.
And you're saying the thump is the sound of the bullet in the air, or it's not
or the sound of the impact.
The thump is the sound of the muzzle blast, of the explosion in the gun. That's the thump that travels with sonic speed. And the crack is the cone sound that travels with supersonic speed. And that is first. That's what we hear first. And if we had only a blank, then we wouldn't have this sound that the bullet makes, the supersonic sound. It wouldn't be there. We'd only have a thump. So if we had a blank somewhere on the roof, without a bullet flying in the air, then we would only have this observation here, not the crack, because the crack is caused by the bullet flying in the air with supersonic speed. So yeah, that's just the reason why. Or, I mean, I can also show you that here. So here we have crack and a thump. So this blue circle is the thump, and this green one is the crack. And as I showed you before, how do I do this here?
So no sound from the impact should be expected at this point. This is weird. But you know what? It makes you think. And to think, it makes you smarter, it makes you stronger. You know, the mind is a muscle. Right now, we're exercising it. There are a couple people in the comments who you can tell do not like to work out. So they're not going to be too happy about having to think. And then if you're autistic, thinking gives you a headache and makes you frustrated anyway. So that also shows you who your audience is, unfortunately.
So this is roughly what it looked like. Zoom in a bit. Okay. This is roughly what it looked like with a bullet. And if it was only a, how do you call it, a flashbang or a blank or something like that. Oops. Then this works now. Then it, on the roof, it would only look like this without a cone. Or of course we can also maybe a flashbang somewhere here, somewhere here in the audience, closer, right? Then would have looked like this without any cone, without any crack. And we would have simply seen this here in Audacity. There would only be this one, but this one would not be there. The crack would not be there. Yeah.
Well, I think I understand. And I'm 15 minutes past over anyway, but this is really interesting stuff. And I'm definitely going to put this together, and I'll put it out in the next few days. And I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Dankeschön. Okay. Yeah, that was a really good video, in my opinion. I think the exact details and the science of the acoustics at the very end, I think it was drug out a little bit, got a little, repetitive, but the initial parts of Valhalla, Witsec, the motive behind why Charlie would have to go there. See, my whole position is that what if this is why Dan Bongino wants to resign? He said that him and Cash, their offices are connected. I see Cash talking a lot. I haven't seen much from Bongino, and he's normally a talkative, very expressive person, but he's not able to get on his Rumble and do his show and talk to the people and the masses. And he promised the public to get in there and be transparent and make change. And now that he's in there, he's kind of neutered, right? You don't see Bongino able to do much. And with everything that's expected for him to omit, obfuscate, or blatantly lie about, probably one of the biggest things so far is if he found out that Charlie was in WITSEC, and we have to lie to not just the American people, but this is the world. There's people from all over the world that are literally watching this every day, hanging on their word. Some people were just not good. We're not built to just lie to masses of people and then be able to go to sleep at night. It's just not in us. When we talk, we're just honest, and we don't really worry about the consequences of our words because we're more so worried about being accurate than we are how people are going to react to what we're saying. I just want to be accurate. I don't want anyone to come behind me and say, well, this isn't true and that's wrong and that's not true. And I'm like, well, I decided what I was going to say based on how I thought you would feel about it. That's not fair. And I'll be honest, a half truth is a lie. A partial truth is a lie. And saying, well, you didn't exactly ask me that, that's also another way to lie. And I've dealt with liars throughout my life. I've went through breakups, and I absolutely hate liars. You end up in bad situations dealing with liars. Our country's in a really bad situation because we've had a lot of liars in charge and running things. So I think that could have been, in my opinion, because Dan seems like I don't know him personally. He seems like a man of integrity, and has a lot of self-respect. Having or being forced to lie about something that he knows the truth about, and it's something as big as the whole Charlie Kirk thing. It's just a weird coincidence that now he wants to resign. I can understand why. I mean, if this is what I would expect, if I would be expected to lie to the public that I promised all this stuff to a few months ago, I'd resign too. So that's that's where I'm making this connection. If Dan Bongino found out Charlie Kirk was in WITSEC and still alive, I'd resign also, because then that means that what Marjorie Taylor Greene said is true. The system is unfixable. So, what are we even doing here? So do me a favor, like and subscribe, share the video, leave a comment. I see your comments. I'm going to reply. Let's see here. Yeah, they said they could have been a mosquito drone. They could have been a mosquito drone. We don't know what those sound like. It could have been that also. There are a lot of reasons to suspect Charlie is alive. There are absolutely. For one thing, her hands and his hands being the same size, unless people's hands shrink when they die, that's a huge red flag. Also, her tears are fake. No one else is crying from TPUSA. And, I didn't even see Jack Posobiec shed tears. I've seen more tears from people in the public than his best friends. And I'm talking about, these are people like the real magical, spectacular Robbie McCoy. Okay, where were his tears? They all kept their shades on. No one took their glasses off to wipe their eyes. But they're talking about their bread and butter and their bestie, Charlie, is gone. But no one's snot, there's no snot coming out of their nose or nothing. Are we just all hardened up from military battle where we don't have emotions anymore? I don't think so. Him being alive would explain why everybody's behaving so goddamn weird. The only other option is they knew what was going to happen to him and they just stayed out of the way and let it happen. They didn't give him a heads up or anything. So they could be feeling guilty, and that could also change your behavior pattern. But let's just go ahead and say it. You know, if there's a possibility, he is still, and that's and only a few of them know, and the other ones suspect it, and that's why nobody's really that sad. They're not that sad, but I mean, once you go on a WITSEC, when does it end? I mean, how does that work? I don't know. Share the video, like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. I'm gonna do a video about Baron Coleman, and when he brought up the pilot, that is the doctor that they said they took Charlie to. That's going to really trip you out. I'm going to put that together. I'll be back in about a half an hour. Remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.